everyone. Welcome and welcome back to the final session of the Ultimate Social Media Marketing Academy. I'm really excited to have been with you all day, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your week to join us for these really useful webinars. My name's Jenny. Steve's here as well, and he'll be helping me monitor and answer any of your questions throughout the webinar. And this is the final session of today. We're going to be talking about Google and YouTube and how Google is really the biggest social network out there. Now, Shashi's going to be leading this discussion. Like I said in the first session today, he is our Chief Marketing Officer. He also teaches at Georgetown University and is known as the Social Media Swami. So I'm really excited to hear what he has to say. And to everyone just joining us for this last session, a little bit of background on Surefire Local. We are located in Northern Virginia. We help small businesses and contractors drive visibility through all channels on the web so they can continue to grow their business with ease. And we do this with our digital marketing platform built specifically for home contractors, the Surefire Local Marketing Cloud. So a few quick reminders before we get started with today's talk. We will send a recording of all 4 sessions of the chat next week. And like I mentioned earlier, you can ask us questions, make comments, or anything in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, because you're on this last session of the webinar with us, you have one more chance to win the Google Home Hub, and we'll be giving that away at the very end of this session. So stay tuned until the end and let us know if you have any questions. With that said, I will pass it on over to Shashi to get started.
Thank you, Jenny, and thank you, Steve, for the person behind the scenes managing the entire webinar series. Happy holidays, everyone, and hope you had a great weekend and hope you're looking forward to 2019. 2019 is going to see a lot of change. Now, one thing that we would like to do at Surefire is not necessarily give you something that you already know about, but try to give you some tips and ideas that you can take and apply back to your business. And of course, the talk about Google sometimes is overwhelming because Google by itself for business owners has so many tools that you could be using. But the reason why Google became very successful is Google cares a lot about user experience. If you're a reader of the New Yorker magazine, there was an interview a couple of days ago about 2 people in Google who actually helped Google scale, because every time somebody searched for a search result in Google, this is probably in 2004, 50% of all the search results were failing. And it was failing because people were using Google so much that the servers were not able to keep up with that. So Google really cares about the user experience, and they corrected the problem, and today Google is the one of the biggest online companies in the world today. Now, Google has subsequently also realized that it's very difficult for it to have accurate information unless the user has the opportunity to give some information back to Google. I remember a time when I was picking up my son from summer camp, and obviously I used Google to find the summer camp phone number, and the phone number was wrong. And I was thinking, so I asked the summer camp, hey, well, how come your phone number is wrong? They said, we obviously can't pick up the phone and call Google and correct it. It seems to be such a huge process. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that period has changed. Google is fast becoming almost a customer service company. Today, if you have a problem with your Google My Business page, you can probably call someone. Of course, if you're a Surefire customer, you'll call us first. The second thing that Google cares about is giving the right search result to the user when they're looking for a business. At least 10 to 15 years ago, I was listening to a Google executive talk about how he ordered flowers in the Vienna area where Surefire is located. While he was in San Francisco, he wanted to order flowers for his in-laws who lived across the country. But during those days, the game was search engine optimization. You had to be on the first page of Google, otherwise nothing would come. That game has changed today. In fact, Google is going to add another signal very soon that is going to be added to these four signals that Google cares about. The first signal is recency, which means that is the content up to date or is this content relevant to 2016, 2014 or even much later? That's one thing that Google, and I would even say that this applies to almost any search engine. Bing, of course, there are only two that make any difference unless you're counting two search engines called DuckDuckGo and Wolfram Alpha. They are search engines but very niche in their own way. The second signal that I want everyone in this webinar to pay attention is proximity. This relates to what I was talking about ordering flowers across the country. Is as a contracting business, and where I think most of you are either contracting business or serve a local clientele. We had somebody on the webinar who's a Windows replacement contractor. Some of you are pools and maintenance, HVAC, call it. You want your leads to come from a place that you serve. It's probably not worth your while if you have to travel 75 miles across the town to service a job when you might as well get somebody who's in your area. Or maybe you have multiple locations and you want each location to get the right lead that comes. So Google needs to know which is the area that you serve. And by the way, they made some changes to their Google My Business, so it's no longer by service area, it's by zip code. And that is going to help people, change the way how people look at your service. The next signal that Google cares about is relevance. That is, what you're creating, is it useful? Meaning, if people are searching for a roofing company, Google also wants to know that you do gutters as well, or maybe you do siding as well. So while you're focusing on your main category of business, you have the ability to give Google some information on other things. I'm not sure how many of you in the audience here have heard of local service ads. If you haven't heard of local service ads, please put your email address into the box, or maybe Jenny, if you have a link to the Google LSA page, you can probably put the link there.
Yeah.
So the reason I mentioned that is not because I want you all to sign up for LSAs. In fact, it's a beta program. It's not even available in all the zip codes, but it's connecting homeowners directly to contracting business such as yours. That's where the signal relevance becomes very important. Is if somebody is looking for their air conditioning is just gone bust, or their heating, especially in most of the country it's winter, if their heating is gone bust and they need a heating contractor immediately to repair, they're probably not going to wait for a business that is not open at the time they're searching. So they're going to look at who is the most relevant, what is the information that's available about this business that I can take the user and connect it. And it's almost like a pay-per-lead program from Google. More information, if you need it, from the link that Jenny will be posting. The next one is prominence, right? Like one of the signals that we talked about when we talked about House, when we talked about Nextdoor, and we talked about Facebook. Are you getting any links from other places? Is the information that you have on your website, for example, a fly-by-night operator may come to you and say, like, look, you need to put every town and county name that you serve into your website and, spam it with keywords. That's not how you should do your business. Google can look at all of that. Google uses a lot of AI, looks at all these sites, collects a lot of data. So trying to hoodwink Google is probably the wrong strategy. The best strategy is to have use the tools that are available to you to give Google the information. Now, the fifth signal that will come up into our webinars when Google can figure it out is your availability. You're going to wonder, like, how does Google know what my availability is? I can always get more employees or more teams when I need to. Google has been using big data to collect information about everyone, right? Like if you have a phone and a Google app, it probably knows people from your company, where they visit, how they visit, and how long they spend on every site. One example of this is if you look up a restaurant on Google or a shop, Google can actually tell you when it is the most crowded. It's not like Google has a camera in the store that can tell you. Google actually tells you because of all the signals that are there. There's technology like Bluetooth beacons that are available that actually, as a phone passes by, can anonymously record that the number of people who pass by on a street, how useful that's going to be. So I'm just letting you know, like for example, if you have a roadside, you need roadside assistance. Google wants to make sure it sends you to a towing company that's available right there and not to a towing company that's close there. In the same way, if a person's roof is leaking, it wants to give you the right result on the top that connects them to a roofing contractor who can service them as quickly as possible. Does it make sense? Do you have any questions? I'd like to take questions as we go because this is the last session and I want to make sure we answer every question. But if you missed any of the previous sessions, just go through this. We are not asking you to take time away from your business to answer any of these things, but most of the time we would like to make sure that you are using your time the right way in marketing and getting in front of homeowners using the tips and techniques that we are talking about in this webinar. Now, just to take us back to a little bit, how did Google get here? We all know Google as a search engine. Google's prototype created 11th November 1998, almost 20 years ago and 1 month actually. They were just thinking of, hey, Yahoo is there, but Yahoo is more like a directory. They've got so many links, so it's so confusing. How do you make it easy for people? So they said, let's go and index it. They compared it to the Stanford library, and at that time, if you will see that they were only thinking of about 25 million pages. Now, just for context, I wanted to show you, 2013, there were 30 trillion pages in the Google index. In 2016, there were 130 trillion pages. Now, these pages are all the content that's being created. Now, this could be overwhelming. Like if you think about your own business and say like, wow, there are 130 trillion pages and my business has to show up. You don't have to worry about the number of zeros that's after 130 trillion at all because your service area some of our contractors have told us maybe 50 miles from a particular zip code or location. So when you think of that, you're only thinking about your competition that is within that area. So you don't have to worry about this 130 trillion pages. That is the reason why I put the 4 signals. If you care about those 4 signals of recency, proximity, relevance, and prominence, and along with everybody else, you care about your user experience, your customers, I think you'll do pretty fine. Hope that's a little consoling so you don't have to worry about the number of zeros here. The other thing that Google constantly does is Google did not stop at just being a search engine. Like if you think about companies like Uber, Lyft, all of these companies think about the user first. They want to provide convenience. Uber is nothing but a mobile app. And take, for example, Amazon. Amazon didn't say that we would be the biggest website. What they said is we need to get into logistics so that the user orders something and gets it in exactly the form they want as quickly as possible. I've heard from Amazon executives that they want to be the most customer-friendly company in the whole universe, not just this earth. Now, Google said they want to be the most technologically advanced company and not just a search engine. So they went, as user behavior changed, as all of us got used to the internet, email, people found. In 2003, I was working for a company called Network Solutions. We used to have an email platform. And when we did research, the number one thing that people did on the internet was email. So Google got into email. I was just driving back from New Jersey over the Christmas holiday, and I was thinking about the time almost 20 years ago when I would go into the welcome center and ask them for a route map of the shortest route to get to New York because of all the bridges would always be backed up. And today, that doesn't exist. Today, I don't need it. I don't even need my car's navigation. My phone will tell me exactly where I need to go. Google realized that people are going to look at maps, they're going to find businesses, they're going to search. So when you look at your email, you actually categorize it and people search for it. They looked at Microsoft and the usage of Microsoft Word, Excel, and they said, like, we need to get into Google Docs. And a good friend of mine, Jonathan, actually sold his company that had online docs to Google, and he's still with Google. Uh, they wanted a browser because they did not want to be held hostage to being able to go through somebody else's browser to get that. They looked at photos, and as mobile phones came in, they started producing mobile phones. And one thing that you may not know is Google actually is a cell phone company too. In fact, my company, my cell phone is a Google Pixel, and I don't use any Verizon or any of the other companies. I use Google Project Fi. I think the way they named Project Fi is that they're going to get into 5G in a big way, so they'll also be an internet provider. But that's speculation from my part at this time. How many of you bought a smart device during the season, during the shopping season? I think we've been experimenting from the first time that Amazon Echo started, and we are watching Google Home. That's why one lucky winner in a short while will be announced who will get a Google Smart Home Hub. The first thing you need to do, if you can do it now, just try to search for your own business on any of these smart devices. I do that very often, and we're very surprised because our Surefire Local Marketing Cloud hooks into both Amazon Alexa and to Google smart home speakers. Now these speakers actually come with a display. So very soon you're going to think about the time that you used to type into these small devices that were called phones. The future is going to be you're going to be speaking to your phone, you're going to be speaking to your smart device, your car, your air conditioner, and you're going to, you already can speak to your thermostat, right? So almost very similarly to that. Now the point here is Google is not just a search engine. If you think about, and if you're being pitched by companies who say like, hey, you need to do search engine optimization, no. You need to give Google the right information that it can send users searching for your business back to you. Not everything is successful. Google has had product flops. There have been failures. Google Plus is the first one. They're going to shut it down. Steve, is it April?
It may even be earlier.
It may be earlier. It was a good one while it lasted. Every single business asked us, should they be on Google Plus? We said yes, because the link from Google Plus used to be good. Maybe we'll start recommending Google Sites or some of the other things that are coming up, but definitely our biggest success has been being able to recommend to our customers the right tools that they need to use, and having a technology platform that goes into the right, that connects or integrates with the right platforms. So what's next, and why do we think Google is a social network, right? The Google Assistant. The Google Assistant is omnipresent. I can tell you today, I can probably just try it. It works, sometimes it doesn't because my phone is asleep. But if I just say, okay, Google, what is the weather today? Chances are that I'm going to get an answer. Or, it's as simple as, for example, I say, okay, Google, who is the best roofing company in Birmingham, Alabama?
Found a few places.
So you can't see my screen, but it says Hinkle Roofing in Birmingham, Alabama, who's a customer of ours. But there are also a couple of other results that come up. Now, as a homeowner, do you think that what I just said in my wonderful southern accent, and Google understood it, will people be searching for something that's more convenient, or will they be going and typing your business name in? What do you think? Yes or no? You can actually post it onto that. Now, the next thing that Google has, which I already have on my Google Pixel phone, is called Google Duplex. What Google Duplex says is if you call my phone and I don't recognize the number, I ask Duplex to answer it. And what it does is it actually tells you like, hey, this person has asked Google to talk to you, and it says, can you tell me what you're calling about? And it transcribes what you're saying very quickly. What this means is in the future, they're already introducing it to restaurants. In the future, a homeowner may be using Google to call you, and you need to have the right structure and signals not only for your website but for all your workflow to be able to answer those questions. If you haven't, this was actually demonstrated when the Google Assistant actually called the restaurant and set up a reservation for 6 people, talk to an actual human being. Now, why will Google get into self-driving cars? Number one, it wants to collect a lot of data about where people go, how they do it. But at the same time, guess what people are doing when they're in a self-driving car? They're actually going to be doing something. They're going to be on the internet. And my prediction is most of these self-driving cars will come with their own hotspot, so you don't even have to worry about your internet connection as well. AI, artificial intelligence, and Google has been doing this for the last 10 years. It has one of the best voice transcriptions. If it understands my voice, let me tell you, it's going to understand every single one of you. And this is available across the board in all of them. Like, for example, Google Photos. When you win this Google Home Hub, you can actually ask it to say like, hey, I want pictures of all the roofs that I've taken. And it will show you only the pictures of the roofs, even if you haven't labeled it. That's the amount of recognition the AI and machine learning of Google has. And of course, it applies it to Google Ads. One thing I was pleasantly surprised was when Jenny showed me a new ad category, which is called a smart display. You literally have to give it a URL and say, I want leads to go to this URL. And Google will create the ad, create the copy, suggest what you need to bid, and give you that. That's how smart most of these tools have started to become. Now, the world population is about 7.6 billion, and each and every one of these Google properties has got 1 billion users each. So imagine that. There are very few people in the world that Google hasn't touched so far. So the perfect search engine, according to Larry Page, is it should understand exactly what you mean and give you back exactly what you need. Remember the relevance signal that I was talking about? It didn't come from me. It seems like it came directly from Larry Page. But Google's secret is its social ecosystem. It is the world's biggest social network. Yes, you probably the homeowners spend a lot of time on Facebook, spend a little time on Neighbor, on Nextdoor, search for things on house, but chances are they're spending a lot of time on what Google has and how it Google Maps, for example. If you look at Google Maps, Google also owns Waze, which is another big one, and it serves ads on it. Waze actually helps you tell you if there is a policeman coming up ahead or if there's a speed camera. But most importantly, it gives you a route that will save you time, right? Now, one thing we have advised in one of our blog posts is you can actually share your location. So in case you're running late with a homeowner, Waze would be a good way for you to share your location and say like, hey, by the way, I'm probably 20 miles away from you, share, and you can actually watch my progress as I come through this traffic. Imagine what kind of a transparent signal you're sending them, right? So you're sharing. I'm going to walk through a few things that Google has in its pipeline, which you may or may not have heard of. Google Bulletin is almost like having the local community, talk about happenings, news, community events. As this is only in a few locations, but as it becomes more popular, it doesn't need an app. You can, or from your phone, you can go to the Google Bulletin page, create a post and post it that only people in your area will be looking at. If you look at it, Location, local is a big theme here. You're serving people within a locality, and Google is thinking about the same thing. How do I help local people do that? If you are not already on Google My Business, the best time to do that was probably a couple of years ago. The second best time to do that was yesterday, and the third best time is now. Google My Business has tools and techniques that can help you, like the Google posts. Chances are you might have seen the notice about this webinar on one of our Google posts done through Google My Business. The powerfulness of these Google posts is it appears wherever your business listing appears, whether it's in maps, whether it's on search, whether it's on any of the Google properties. On a mobile device, it actually says that, hey, here's what's new about this business. So that's a very important tool and also very social. Now, if you're a business, Google says that if you want to know more about this business, especially, I will address, like, for example, you may have questions about Windows, you may have questions about this. And if you're a business that is posting constantly good information or posting maybe even offers, then that's the best way you can do by helping people follow your business. Tell me if I'm wrong, but these are all exactly social signals that are kind of ingrained into Google and its properties without their necessity of having a social network called the Google social network, which they killed anyway. Now, if you look at sharing on maps, right? You look at maps, again, you're able to share, you're able to create lists actually of places and people. And if I find a business that, guess what I do? I immediately send it to my wife to say like, hey, what do you think of this business? Well, it's a roofing contractor. She's actually looking for a patio contractor. And I'm still waiting for a patio contractor who has a wonderful website where I can check out their pages, who has a house page, has been recommended on Nextdoor. If you know anyone in the Potomac, Maryland area, please send them my way. So this is the ability of sharing not only with people, but you can actually share it on Facebook and Twitter, and I'm sure they're going to add more to it. Messaging a business on maps. Now, you wonder why. Like off late, we've actually noticed an increase in the number of people who want to message a business. In fact, just this afternoon, I had written a review for a business on Yelp. It's a local restaurant, and the owner actually messaged me back. Encourage your people to give you feedback 3 ways. Number one is always have a feedback mechanism on your website so that people can reach you. Let them know who it is. I also think that if your team is going to homes give them a card that says, hey, I'm going to do a fantastic job, but should you have any questions, here's the number of the owner of the business or the manager or whoever you want to designate. Please feel free to give them a call or email them if required. Where this connects to this is if you turn on messaging with customers, they have a problem with you, chances are they'll first look for that aspect and then message you first and say like, hey, can you help us? I have this problem. Or they're going to ask you a question. Now, most places, including if you are listening to the Facebook part of this bootcamp from Jenny, she actually told you how to set up instant replies. And the day won't be far off when you can set up instant replies here. Because the question that's going on in the mind of many of you listening to this is, where do I have time to do all this? But the best thing is to make sure this all comes to one integrated channel. Most of the time our customers use our cloud to do that, but you can even say that you want notifications by email, and then that's how you can manage your messages. Google Local Guides. This is actually my profile. I'm a Google Local Guide. I would advise you if you're, because Google Local Guides, just being a member, you can actually go and at least review local businesses and expect the same to do it. But you should also be conscious that there are individuals who are Google Local Guides who might be posting reviews about your business, and that's something to take care of for either. So here again, Google is being very social. It's creating this community. Yelp has its own community called Yelp Elite. They probably do a very similar thing. My dream has actually been to take some of the Yelp elite, of which I'm one of them, to a remodeling company, have the business owners show them how remodeling is done, how to choose a remodeling company. That kind of education, it's almost like having an event. If you feel inclined to do that, you should actually contact your local Yelp community manager. You'll find them on Yelp and invite them over to talk about even about roofing. I mean, before I had my roofs done, I didn't know a single thing about shingles. I was very surprised that something that was looking like I thought it was plastic fell down, and then I called my local friendly neighborhood roofing company, and they said, "Oh, that's a shingle. It seems like a few of your shingles have fallen off." I mean, I would have appreciated a one-on-one on shingles definitely as a homeowner. Now, Google Podcasts. Again, we talked about a world where we are going to do less of writing and typing and doing more of, talking. How about doing more of listening? I know you've all been very quiet for this session, not many of you posting questions or answering any of my questions, but on an average, an American commute is 32 minutes. Guess what people do? They probably listen to the radio, right? But one step ahead of it is they want to listen to something that they like. So Netflix, Amazon Prime Video and everything has spoiled us so much. Hulu has spoiled us so much that we want everything on demand. I am an avid NPR listener. I like listening to Marketplace. I'm not in the car all the time at 6 o'clock. So whenever I get into the car, I like to listen to that podcast. We have our own podcast called Remodeling Mastery. Search for it on your favorite podcast app on your phone and subscribe to it. It's not just for remodelers, it's for any home improvement company. I really would like to see if you listen to podcasts or if you have any recommendations. That way I'll know that some of the audience is paying attention to this webinar and help us with some questions. So Google actually, you can submit your podcast to Google Play and it actually categorizes them. That's another added signal for your business. Starting a podcast is not too difficult. I forget, Steve or Jenny, do we have anything that helps people, a handy guide for podcasts?
I
No?
don't believe so, but that's a great idea. We should create one.
Yeah, okay. So we'll create one. I mean, podcast can be created just by using an app called either Anchor or SoundCloud. And SoundCloud actually syndicates to Google Play Music, iTunes, and every other form. This is another way that you get. It's almost like blogging, but it's in the using voice. And Google actually, you can just go to your smart home app and say, "Okay, Google, play the latest episode of Remodeling Mastery." And guess what? You probably get the latest episode of Remodeling Mastery without your having to do anything else. Again, I don't know if you're creating videos for projects, but there are two kinds of videos that you can create. Now, the reason why videos are important is people like visual things. People don't want to keep reading long things. And when people search for information, chances are a YouTube result or a video result will be high up on that. You can actually look at your own way of doing that. For example, what we do with our YouTube videos. This webinar is going to be not only a GoToWebinar recording, it gets posted as audio on our Surefire local podcasts that people can listen to in their car if they wanted to. It gets posted on YouTube as a YouTube video. The content of this gets posted as a blog on the Surefire blog. We take the content, create an ebook, and post it on the website. So imagine just with one piece of content, we have created all of these. So I would follow a similar strategy. Let's say if there are 4 things that I want you to do in January 2019. Of course, some of you may want to do that. Interview one of your experts in your business, whether it's somebody who replaces roofs or somebody who repairs roofs or windows. Ask them what they would advise homeowners to do during winter. What are the precautions to follow during winter? create a 2.5-minute video using your cell phone and send it to us. In return, we'll send you a strategy, we'll look at the video, we'll give you some pointers on the video. It's not going to be difficult. If you feel your hand cannot hold the phone, let me tell you, most phones have become savvy enough that they take the shake out of it. Remember, this is not a project photograph, because if you're going to do a project photograph, we'd advise you to use a professional video and professional photography. But this is going to be almost like your voice on YouTube. So as you do this, using the right keywords, using the right title, and another tip that I have to tell you is within the first 6 words, have a link back to your website, which I think I have to tell my team to do here. Because if you look at it, you have 2 lines of copy that you can add to your description. Now, if you look at these 2 lines, try to bring them back. Create all of these social networks, including YouTube, as a way to get people back to your website or to call your business. So what you need to do here is set up a YouTube page if you don't already have one. Start uploading videos 1 a week, and most importantly, YouTube has a studio. But before we get to that, YouTube again is a social network. People can share the minute they like a video. It goes on to their social network saying, Shashi has liked this video, and it has an option. It gives you an opportunity to get in front of more people who look at it. And if you look at it, YouTube actually has more sharing options than what you're seeing on the screen right now. And you can actually take the YouTube video and also embed it on your blog post, making that another place where your content is shared. You can actually become a YouTube creator. They have this program called the YouTube Creator. Again, you're busy people, 1 video interviewing somebody, or if you have somebody on the team who wants to create videos, let them go for it. Just make sure that your brand is well mentioned there and they're giving useful information. Jenny is actually our, she cares a lot about not being commercial about all of the content that you create. She wants everyone to create content that homeowners really like and really are looking for that. So becoming a YouTube creator, you publish regularly, take the YouTube, maybe have a page on your website that says videos and start embedding these videos, or even if you just start with links, that's great. Share all of these on your social networks. Run campaigns for people to subscribe. If you have an email list or in your email signature, you can probably say like, hey, wanted to look at our YouTube channel or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And, use annotations and cards. It is a fact that a lot of people actually watch YouTube videos in silence for whatever reason. So having closed captions, and YouTube actually has a way to automate, am I right, Steve? Has a way to automate the closed captions, right? If not, I actually would recommend, and Jenny, you'll have to put it into the chat box. It's called otter.ai, OTTER.ai. A lot of good uses for Otter. If you're with a homeowner and if you like a transcription of your conversation with the homeowner, you don't even need to take notes. Otter, which is a phone app, will do that for you. Otter has told us that their next version they're developing is being able to take a YouTube video and create closed captions for that. So that's pretty cool. If you did not understand the way I pronounced Otter, Jenny is going to do me a favor and post it on to the chat box. Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah.
So if you don't have any software that helps you edit your videos, YouTube actually gives you the ability to do that on your own and use that. The transcription feature, just to mention it, Google can look at videos and almost using its AI and machine learning make out what's in the video. And at the same time, they also transcribe it. You might need to go look at it and change it a little bit where it doesn't understand it. But it's almost like a all-in-one solution that helps you with your videos. Again, please create a video. Maybe you have some downtime in the next couple of days as the year is closing out. Maybe it's why you should choose your business. Most of you have wonderful stories on your website in the About Us page about why you started the business. Sometimes it's a family business, sometimes you are an entrepreneur, sometimes it was a lifestyle for you, sometimes it was just a job. You didn't want to work for anyone, so you created this company. All of these are very good reasons, but people need to hear your voice. I obviously would like to see who's going to come and visit me, and maybe it's a video that you send to a homeowner before you go to their home for an appointment. Just tell them, hey, my name is Shashi. I'm a roofing contractor who's going to come to your house next Saturday. Just wanted to let you know I'll be bringing everything that we need for this conversation, but it will be useful if you collect any debris that has been in your yard so I can have a look at it. If I'll be bringing my own ladder. And by the way, also want to remind you that I hope you have added this to your calendar, because I don't want to waste your time and just want to make sure I use your time very well. That way the homeowner is going to look at it and say, like, if they haven't added it to their calendar that you're going to come, you don't want to miss, you don't want a missed appointment, right? So that's one. I advise a lot of businesses to take a lot of pictures and post them not only on their website, but also use the Google Photos app that automatically backs up all their pictures. So if you're at a job site and you take a picture and Google automatically backs up to your Google Photos account, which I think everybody should have. Now, I would prefer that you have a business, use a Google account that's connected to your business, so that the photographs also get this. I just went into my photos and just said search for roofs. Now some of these are national parks, but Google just took all of them and said, like, hey, here are all the pictures of roofs that are there in your social network. Now imagine the amount of intelligence that Google has from your photos. And the second important factor why you should be using photos is also because your camera has something called metadata. The metadata says where the picture was taken. Of course, you can turn it off if you want, but I wouldn't, because this is a signal to Google about where you're going, where your jobs are. So I would take pictures of jobs and write a description. Even if I don't write a description, I would just post it. You don't even need to post it. It'll automatically get posted to Google Photos. And whenever you need some photos, just embed it into your website or blog post. That way, when homeowners come to your website, they look at it. And again, you have a lot of ways, and that's probably for another webinar, where you can use Google Docs to take your presentation that you give homeowners and make it public, so that you have another link to do that. Now, images also have a rich search social aspect, which means when you upload these images, they actually appear in search results and then either lead back to your Google Photos page, or if the same photos are found on your website, they may actually bring them back to your website. So that's another aspect. One important tip I want to give you is when you add images to your website, please make sure that you're adding some alternative text. It's mainly for people who use readers and who can't read from a screen, but it's also useful for many of these search engines that collect data to see what the picture is about. Now, progressive web apps, again, this is a little bit futuristic. You don't have to worry about it right now, but remember that you have almost, like, I have 171 apps. I probably use 20 of them. The future is most of these phone companies are going to manage your memory, that you don't even need to download any apps. But the most important reason why progressive web apps came up is, let's say you have a payment system on your website. Now I come in and I come to your website and I want to pay you, and you say, like, oh, you need to download the Panera app. You're not going to do that. You're going to say, hey, fine, I'll go and pay when I pick up. But the easiest thing that Google is thinking about is you're going to complete the transaction right in the Google search result itself. If you look at a search result today, just if you want to try an example of what I'm talking about, look at, search for a movie that's playing today. And chances are you are able to actually buy the ticket right on Google itself. Now, the same way when you look at in the future, I told you about local service ads, and that's a way for Google to send people directly to set up an appointment with you without you're having even to lift a finger or effort, right? That's what Google is aiming at. It wants to make people stay at Google. Now, the progressive web apps are, it's not an app, it's almost the way your search is mobile, and that's the way we're going to do that. So now back to tips for getting started today. The number one thing that if you want Google and every other social network to connect your website to your social presence is to build it with the structured data. And when you look at it, the structured data is nothing that you have to do. You have to make sure you build it with a company that is specialized in local marketing. Just about any website developer won't do. So you need somebody who has done this before, who is a Google partner. Needless to say, if you're considering a website design, why not have a website that is powered by the most powerful AI cloud for contractors, which is the Surefire Marketing Cloud. We spent 3 years. We got a lot of input from different companies, our partners like Yext, Google, Nextdoor, and everyone else in building this. So busy professionals like you just have to go to one place to manage all of this. But we know that your web presence starts with the website. So if you don't have a website, we can build you a structured data. Now, this is not an advertisement for Surefire Local, but I wanted to mention it. Now, publish once and update anywhere. Just make sure you have Google My Business set up. Make sure you update it regularly, and it gets published in all the Google properties. Keep track of customers interacting with you. See if people are following your business, if they're posting pictures with you. Set up a Google alert. Not on this slide, but go to google.com/alerts and set up an alert for your business. Quickly respond to messages and reviews. I mean, I must say, I actually forgot. The restaurant that responded to me responded after 3 to 4 days. But it's okay because my review was actually very good. I was really happy that they responded to a good review as well. So respond to both good and bad reviews. If it is a bad review, take the conversation offline, offer them your email address, your cell phone number, so you're able to correct it. And most of these people actually care about your business. That's why they actually take the trouble of either messaging you or sending you a review. Use the business owner tools. Most of these social networks, including Google My Business, actually wants you to post pictures, wants you to write posts, wants you to update information about your business. Take photographs and post them to your Google Maps listing. We have a tool called GeoJuice. You can, I think Jenny is going to give you a poll. I know some of you have actually gone through the poll sometimes, but don't miss out on this opportunity. If you found any of these are useful, what we are actually going to do on a demo call with you is show you our software, look at your web presence, and give you some tips, whether you want to be a customer or not. It's a no obligation, free call that walks through some of these things. And if you have questions, we have digital marketing strategists who can answer. Another important tip, use slides to create videos and post to multiple Google Slides. I don't know if you're a user of Google Slides, but if you already have some slides, there's an easy way to create a slideshow or even a video using that. In fact, Google Photos, you can actually create animation using Google Photos. We have done it a couple of times. Again, I think you probably have, I don't know, I mean, depending on your job, you probably don't have a couple of hours a week to do some of these things. So we didn't want to overwhelm you with everything, even though I think 4 sessions was a lot. So take the 4 hours that you're going to allocate to some of these things and figure out which is the most important thing that is giving you back leads. That when your homeowner is searching for your business, they're going to come. Creating content and publishing on Google Posts, I think it's a top one. Like and share to your network. I mean, why not tell the whole world that you work for this wonderful home business, so home services business or a contracting business, and keep the information updated. I think that's going to be very, very useful to you. I hope this whole session has been useful to you. 2019, we have several planned, including one on augmented reality. Very soon, all of these technologies are going to come. The difference between being a successful business and just about any business is we know most of our community of contractors like technology. They use technology very fast. That's why homeowners like them. I mean, just the information that some of the contractors have dealt with have given me about weather and how the right way to do things. You're already a storyteller. You tell this repeatedly to homeowners whenever you go on an appointment. Just make sure you have the ability to tell it online as well, and we can help. With that, over to you, Jay.
Thank you so much, Shashi. And thank you, everyone, for taking the time out of your week to join us for this Social Media Academy. I really, truly hope that you learned something new and you get ready to, like Carl said in the comments, get ready to step up your social media game because 2019 is going to be the year of social. So with that, I wanted to give everyone one last opportunity to claim our special end of the year offer, which is going to be half off setup, which is a great website built with structured data. It's optimized for Google, mobile, and voice search, and then half off the first month. During this call, like Shashi said, we'll also take a look and give you a free consultation of your online presence, your current website, and show you a demo of our Surefire Local Marketing Cloud, the marketing technology platform. So I really hope you choose either Friday, Monday, or email to schedule a call, and we'll get something scheduled. And while you all are answering the poll, I do want to announce our Google Home Hub winner. And our winner today is going to be Phil Bachman. Congratulations, Phil. Please email marketing@surefirelocal.com with your full mailing address, and we will get that shipped right out to you. So I want to say thank you again. Hope you learned something. And thank you to Shashi and Steve for joining me today on this webinar. And please fill out the survey at the end. Let us know how we did today, what you learned, if there's anything specific you'd like to learn more about on future webinars. We really love to check out your input when we're scheduling our future webinars. So thank you so much, and have a great new year, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.